So, hey, peeps. I do yoga with Adrienne sometimes on YouTube, and she always says, "Hey, party people." She has her dog present at all things too. Okay, so uh, just to officially launch the lab here for this term, we have two new students, and I heard from one of them just having sent out a note today, and um, so I might just on this meeting so that it can be recorded, do a brief spiel about research assistance versus having authorship on a particular project, and then we can go do our normal thing because all the folks who are here have been meeting together for a long time. So if you're watching this recording, welcome to our new folks, and we look forward to working with you. Let me just do a little bit of an intro. So this is what we call the big lab, and we Perry officially is my co-leader. We'll have to think of some television metaphor for that, like who's Gavin McLeod and who's Julie, the cruise director, or maybe I could be the doctor. I always liked him. um, so yes, and in addition to that, Andreas, Dr. Miles-Novelo, is at the dentist right now. Let's hope he's not getting a terrible shot in the gums or something like that, and it's just a cleaning. But we normally meet and touch base with everybody in those two labs during this first hour. And then we have an ongoing project that I'm calling MTV Music Television that meets after this. And just to do a basic review of the lab is designed to get you hands-on training for uh, someone who has a PhD in psychology. You want to have experience doing research, know how to do research, and it's like any profession, you have to actually do it rather than only read about it, talk about it, but you have to be confronted with each thing. How do I use Qualtrics? How do I recruit participants? How do I design a study? What are the pros and cons of each approach? What happens when you submit something for publication? How do you deal with feedback on publication? All of these things. And so in the MTV group, we are getting ready to work um, directly on writing the manuscript this semester, and we've done some data collection. We've collected data on two different pilot studies, and we're about to do our main study, if you will, in that study. So I did a little document here I'm going to share in the chat just about research assistance and how that compares to being a co-author. So I wrote one of these myself, I don't know, a year ago, I don't know, about what's a research assistant, and that still may be being mailed out to folks to advertise the lab. But we talk about using AI in research here a lot, and so I also just asked the Google AI, what's a research assistant? And it gave me a very similar thing to what I wrote, and I'm all for using AI like this for I like to compare what they say to what I said. For instance, they gave me these two little adorbs research assistant pictures here. This person, I think he needs to look more anxious, but he's also got some, I assume that's liquor because he's not like a biologist. I don't know. And this woman here she's showing us the different key skills that you need to have if you're getting a PhD in a research field. And we do all these things, planning, organizing, working together, uh, learning about the scientific method, getting experience. There is actually some sort of emotional intuition involved, and but also analysis. So those are all fair. When I say emotion, not to launch into this too deeply, but I used to teach a course with the book Emotional Intelligence in Everyday Life. And those authors, I can look it up for you, but those authors said that, we usually, especially in science, we put advantage on the traditional male kind of cognitive problem solving, and we think of anything to do with emotions as not valid in science. But they make this whole argument that you actually need both emotion and cognition to make the best decisions, and they back that up with various studies where um, emotion plays a role. And without going into it too deeply, it's not that we should make rash decisions based on fears or something like that, but just that there is such a thing as intuition. There's a whole book in social psych just called Intuition. I'm blanking on her name right now, but she's a famous social psychologist. And basically the idea is intuition is based on experience. You just are having a feeling because of experience that you've had, and you don't exactly know where it all is coming from. Or maybe it's little things like micro expressions on people's faces that there's a feeling you're getting, and it is actually based on data. So anyway, not to launch too deeply into that kind of stuff, but we do have sort of gut reactions, intuitions, feelings that are legitimate in helping make decisions. But AI gave me a little description of what a research assistant is. It's a helper. It's a learner. It's an apprentice for different things that we do in the lab, like as we have here, data collection. When I was an undergrad, I helped my mentor with data collection. And if you just do data collection, um, that's not an authorship level task, but things like data analysis are writing, and other things like that. So I put the link in here when you're talking about what makes a research assistant versus a co-author. If you click on this credit.niso.org, it will give you these 14 criteria for authors. So you need to do one of these things at a reasonable amount of effort to become a co-author. So conceptualize the study. That I think of that as could be theoretical or methodological. Formal analysis, that's stats, data analysis, or qualitative analysis. Getting funding. If you click on each of these, it'll tell you what's involved in them. Administering the project, gathering resources, supervising the project, validation, that's meaning in the research methods kind of way. You can click on that. Um, Presenting, and these are, to me, the biggies, I guess, are designing the study, which could be methodology and conceptualization, analyzing the data, writing the original draft and editing it, and all the stuff that goes around in the background, like organizing the team, supervising the team, getting things turned in, making sure everyone's assigned to their roles, getting funding, all that kind of stuff, the more administrative parts. But things like funding acquisition would be less likely for a new graduate student to be doing. So welcome new folks, and I've heard from one of the two that they can definitely make it next time, so we look forward to that. So that is my lab spiel. Perry, are you having some feelings that you want to to
I
share
am
about the
having
lab?
some mixed affect with some. Just kidding.
Is it eudaimonic,
Uh,
hedonic?
No, I know everyone live on the call. We've been going at this for a while together, and then for those who are new and joining us on recording, so nice to meet you, or for some of you, have you in class again, and looking forward to doing some good work this term.
Excellent. Is there anything else we need to do in the main lab, or do you want to stop that there and move on to our next project? Because everyone here is on that, I
Yeah,
think.
well, I think one thing that might be good to mention for the new folks, if they're watching this recording, is that in terms of assignments for the course, it's a little hard to quantify the same way it is in a normal class. So we do what's essentially called, most of the time, you'll be contributing author's notebook entries, which is write-ups about certain articles that we're reading related to our research. Any of those could be substituted for something task related, should something you're doing research assistance for. And really the goal of that is just to make sure that we have those checks in place, but really the goal here is to get as hands-on as you can. And whether you're summarizing articles that we need to know to write up our lit review or taking on a research assistant task, well, that's just kind of what we'll be tracking on Moodle. And unlike other classes, you may not get the feedback like immediately because it's more about the ongoing process than critiquing your process in the moment and more letting it kind of evolve with the lab.
Yes, thanks for covering that. I mentioned in the email, the Moodle's not live yet, but I will copy over stuff. I've been putting different resources in there last term, such as videos, and we record these sessions, both this session and the MTV meetings. And so we try to make a bunch of those available on the Moodle. I also have the YouTube channel that I shared on the email. So there's existing videos there on various topics like doing literature searches or downloading data from Qualtrics. And I'll try to we'll try to keep on top of that of getting it up on the YouTube and then putting it in the Moodle. One of the things that has been a problem in some classes, like in the RSSs, is faculty will record a video of them talking about a subject, and then it'll be on their Zoom, and then it'll disappear. So nobody will have that video and the link will be broken. So I'm trying to make sure they're either just the technical aspect of it is you have to put it into Kaltura media if it's inside the Moodle, or you can put it up on YouTube and then just link to the YouTube. So trying to be aware of that and keep those resources, because you don't want somebody giving a talk on something and then that talk disappears and into the air, to the ether. But yeah, like Perry said, kind of a standard thing that we do, and this is explained on the Moodle that I'll copy and edit for this term. Um, there's a process of taking notes on research articles and then sharing them on the Moodle for credit, but also sharing them on a shared Zotero. So Zotero is a reference managing software, and so it allows you to put the PDF of the article and then attach your own notes to that. So that's something you can grab and work on anytime. And also just at weekly meetings for the active research team, this music theme song research team, which we call MTV. Any given week, we might say, oh, we need this done or we need that done, and we'll ask you to do that as a weekly task. One thing that came to mind too, and I'm looking primarily at Ross and Jesse here and thinking about this, is sometimes people come in and they're doing a good job of contributing, but they don't think of themselves yet as having done anything that's worthwhile, but you have. So it's understandable that when you first start, you might think like, I don't know what I'm doing, which is what I think every time I first start anything. I'm uh, I'm teaching this course called Course Development in the Teaching of Psychology, and it just reminds me, it just takes me back to the days, the first time I like really professionally developed a course, which was social psychology, and just all the things the first time you do it. Like I remember I was prepping social psych with two other graduate students that I was friends with. And I'd be on the phone with them like, what is social psychology? Oh my God, I don't know. Um, but there's a first time for everything, right? Yeah, I eventually became a social psychologist and I taught it umpteen times. And I still love teaching it, but there's a first time that you teach social psychology and there you go, or any other course in psychology. And sometimes it feels like you don't yet know what you're doing. Or for those of us who have children, I remember when my son Jason, who's going to be 25 this fall, when he was born, there's a picture of me reading a book called How to Parent. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I'm the youngest child of the youngest child. Well, who gave me this baby? I'm clueless. But of course, in parenting, you just learn on the job because you have no other option, right? Right, Stephen?
They teach you what they need. That's what I tell people. Maybe I'm a terrible parent. I don't know. That's
Oh,
that's my philosophy.
I doubt that. Steven's too big of a sweetheart to be a bad parent. I'm sure you're like shaking your fist at little Griffin. Sometimes Jason,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God.
I'm a pushover. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a pause here and let's see. I'm gonna stop the recording.